Today we're going to be talking about other angle relationships. For example, when the vertex of an angle is on a circle, as in this particular picture where you see angle 1 and angle 2, their vertices are right on the circle. This is the formula that we're going to use. The measure of angle 1 is equal to 1/2 the measure of arc BC, and the measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of is equal to 1/2 the measure of arc BAC. Now I'm just going to give you a bunch of formulas and then we're going to apply them. When the vertex of an angle is inside the circle, as in this case with angle 1 and angle 2, the way you'd find the measure of angle 1 is you'd take 1/2 times the measure of arc AD plus the measure of arc BC. The measure of angle 2 is equal to 1/2 times the measure of arc AB plus the measure of arc CD. Okay? So again, a bunch of formulas that you're getting right now. When the vertex of an angle is outside of a circle, as in this case with angle 1, the measure of angle 1 is equal to 1/2 times the measure of arc DF minus the measure of arc EG. Alright, so you've just been given several formulas, and now we're just going to look to apply them, basically, is what we're doing here. So for instance, let's say we're given this situation here. This is a case where the vertex of an angle is inside the circle. So, for instance, let's say that we'd like to find the measure of angle 2. It's going to be impossible to find the measure of angle 1 because we don't know the measure of the arcs surrounding angle 1. Say, for instance, if this is, let's label our points A, B, C, and D. Okay, we don't know the measures of arcs BC or AD, but we do know the measure of arcs AB and DC, which are associated with angle 2. So we'll use this formula. The measure of angle 2 is equal to 1/2 times the measure of arc AB plus the measure of arc CD. So let's plug our numbers in. So we have 1/2 times 102 degrees plus 65 degrees, which is equal to 1/2 times 167. So that tells us that the measure of angle 2 is equal to 83.5 degrees. So we can put that right here in our diagram. Well, notice that angle 1 and angle 2 form a linear pair. So to find the measure of angle 1, we know linear pairs add up to 180 degrees. So we're just going to take 180 minus 83.5. So we get that the measure of angle 1 equals 96.5 degrees. And we'll put that right in our diagram. So now let's move on to another example. Now here you notice that the vertex of the angle is outside the circle. So let's call this angle 1 here. And we're going to say the measure of angle 1 for our formula outside the circle is equal to 1/2 times the measure of arc EJF minus the measure of arc EF. I'm just running out of room here. I think we've got that. Okay, now first of all, if arc EF has a measure of 142 degrees, we need to find the measure of arc EJF. Well, it's 360 degrees all the way around. So 360 degrees minus 142 is going to give us the measure of that arc EJF, which gives us 218 degrees. So that's something that we need in order to find the measure of angle 1. So let's just plug our numbers in now. So measure of angle 1 is equal to 1/2 times, well, we're going to say 218 degrees, minus the measure of arc EF, which is 142. 218 minus 142 gives us 76. So I'm going to take 1/2 of 76. So that tells us the measure of angle 1 is 38 degrees. Let's move on to another example. So in this figure here, the vertex of the angle is on the circle. Okay? So we're going to be using the formula. We would like to find the measure of angle 1 here. We're going to use the formula. Measure of angle 1 is equal to 1/2 times the measure of arc BAC. All right? So, well, first of all, we have to find the measure of arc BAC. Since arc BC is 164, we would find the measure of arc BAC by saying 360 minus 164, which gives us 196 degrees. So that's the measure of arc BAC. So now we can just plug it into our formula. So we have the measure of angle 1 is equal to, well, 1/2 times 196 degrees. So the measure of angle 1 is equal to 98 degrees. And here we have a situation where we have the vertex of the angle on the outside. Okay, and we've got some information. We're told the angle D is 35 degrees, and we're told the arc AC is 170. Now, what we would like to find in this problem is the measure of arc AB. Well, we know our formula for finding the measure of an angle when the vertex is outside the circle. In this case, let's say it's angle 1. Let's call 35 degrees angle 1. Okay, so that's what we'll call it right here. So the measure of angle 1 would be equal to 1/2 times the measure of arc AC minus the measure of arc AB. So let's go ahead and plug in any numbers that we might know. So we've got 35 degrees equals 1/2 times 170 degrees, and we don't know what the measure of arc AB is, so let's call it X. All right. Now this is the same thing, by the way, as having this equation, 170 minus X divided by 2. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. So when we go to solve it, we have to multiply each side by 2, and the 2's will cancel. So we end up with 70 degrees equals 170 minus X. To solve for X, subtract 170 from each side. So we end up with negative 100 is equal to negative X. And lastly, that means that X is going to have to be 100 degrees. So our missing arc, the measure of arc AB, is 100 degrees. So again, this is just a matter of using some formulas and deciding which formulas work in which situation. Thank you for joining me today. We'll see you next time.